Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now September 20th of 2023, and given that there's a lot of things happening between the Disney higher-ups, such as the board of directors and Bob Iger, the CEO, and how they're really trying to regulate everything happening with Snow White, the live-action remake that's been getting so much criticism, and rightfully so, by the way, based on what fans saw with the leaked photographs months ago, based on Rachel Zegler's crazy comments about Snow White 37 and the upcoming film. But what's intriguing even all the more so has a lot to do with what's going on officially now with the Snow White remake that is destined to fail at the box office, that is destined to become probably and most likely one of Disney's worst movies of all time. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, we know that director Marc Webb has said also a couple of dumb things about Snow White, and he even attacked those that are criticizing the movie, you know, calling them nothing more than disgusting individuals, and he goes on to talk more about that. But what's interesting further has a lot to do with what's going on with the current cut of Snow White 24 and why it's in huge trouble. Alright, now we know that this movie is always in damage control. Disney is in this constant panic mode in an attempt to course correct the film, which I believe that there is no way of course correcting this movie. You cannot escape the backlash no matter what you do. It doesn't matter, you know, what you re-edit or what you rearrange, it just doesn't matter. But this is where things get interesting. So, with Snow White 24 going through major damage control by Disney as of now, one major development has to do with director Marc Webb and the current status of this film. Webb went on to deliver the following to the general public. When you are a creator, either a director, a writer, a producer, it doesn't matter, sometimes you run into complications such as maybe this scene works or that one doesn't, and we shot so much footage, and when I mean so much, I mean we really explored our horizons with alternate storylines that we tried to work into this film. But right now with this movie, we are cutting back on certain scenes that we felt were not necessary and perhaps weren't really going to resonate with fans or common moviegoers. This is something that just tends to happen in the film industry, but in this case, we really had to reshape aspects of this movie, which by the way, I believe is a masterpiece, but it needs much improvement still. This concerns scenes featuring Rachel, Gal, and Andrew, and we are doing our best to regulate this film in the best way possible by cutbacks and how we can create proper flow to the story. Now, again, let me just say one thing here, guys, about Marc Webb before I go on to explain more about what he has to deliver, is that he is confirming that there are a lot of scenes getting cut for this movie because there are moments in this film that they felt would not resonate with fans, or as he calls them, common moviegoers. Now, here's the problem with this, is that we know that Disney thinks that cutting scenes out, canceling scenes, is going to help them. I don't believe so. You know, if it's a woke disaster, it's going to be a disaster just as that. And we already know that this movie is and was previously planned to become a cinematic universe. You guys that have been following may have heard about this. Disney wanted to and intended to release 2 prequel movies that comes before this current film and 1 sequel film to complete this, you know, miniature Snow White universe and the possibility of expanding on Disney Plus for TV shows. That is all dead in the water as of right now. That is no longer happening. It is, however, happening with The Lion King. They're going to be making multiple spin-offs, eventually branching out onto Disney Plus TV shows, stuff like that. So I still think that's a bad idea, to be honest, but Marc Webb really putting it out there that basically he's confirming that there is indeed a lot of damage control happening with this movie, and there is indeed a lot of stuff getting cut, and that they overly shot footage for Snow White. And this also confirms with what we've been talking about for months about how they shot so much extra footage back in, I would say, June to July of 2022. Right around that time frame is when they really upped the amount of footage that they really shot. Now, what makes the film even more disastrous, and we talked about this, is that there are a number of scenes in this movie that went off script that were improvised by Rachel Zegler and Gal. And that, I think, is even all the more, of a situation that's going to put Disney in a worse scenario. So anyway, moving onwards, he goes on to elaborate further. We have noticed a growing number of those that are criticizing this film, and to do that against the film that they have not seen, I guess, is just disgusting and goes to show you how flawed our world is today. Cinema is a great way to balance things out, and we feel this film will be a masterpiece. Rachel is the best Snow White there is. But yeah, that's our process, and right now on finding what scenes just aren't necessary, and sometimes that's a hard decision to make, because Rachel, Gal, and Andrew put their life and soul into this film, sometimes doing 30 takes for a scene. It was crazy, and we really focused on making this the best Disney film yet. We are getting ready to tease this to the entire world, so I hope everyone can sit tight until then. The criticism over this film is unfair and outright from jealous individuals that need to spew their negativity and that negative energy on others. It's really sad. So, you could tell that Mark Webb is really, getting quite angry at the general public, getting quite angry at people that are just not supporting this movie, including myself, by the way. I think that people have a right reason to go against this film. We all know that it's ditching the source material. We all know it's got Rachel Zegler, a very insufferable actress, and I made a joke yesterday about Amber Heard, Brie Larson, Rachel Zegler, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and quite possibly others joining this group that I like to call the Insufferables. You got the Expendables, now we got the Insufferables. Hashtag it. So, we know that there's a lot of things also happening with Mark Webb. There were complications behind the scenes between himself and Zegler. Obviously, some parts of this, I think, are being pushed by Disney and coached by Disney for Mark Webb. And I think that this is yet again Disney's way of saying, hey, we got this. We got this movie. We're fixing it. We're going to try to make it perfect. And that's that. And at the same exact time, we know that Mark Webb had problems with Rachel because he chose a lot more scenes for Gal to remain in the final cut above Rachel's. And the same exact thing applies to what's going on with this current cut that's being altered. So the test screenings have been failing, and they have not been performing well. Negative criticism by screeners, it's not looking good. Very similar to what has happened with Aquaman 2's test screening, where reportedly people were walking out. That's not good, guys. I mean, this is really gonna be a bad rest of the year. You got Aquaman 2, you got the Marvels, and then as we go into 24, you got this film. So, it's really gonna be quite a trend of box office failures, one after the other, from the end of this year into next. So anyway, I would really love to hear your take on Mark Webb, and what do you think about his overall opinion on this movie and everything happening behind the scenes. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.